Well, Donald Trump's moves that he made on Sunday has a lot of Democrats in a straight up panic. In fact, many are screaming and frothing at the mouth. No surprise there. Not only that, but Donald Trump himself has also issued a very dark warning. And in an interview that he conducted with a mainstream media gal, he actually dropped a bombshell about two potential successors. So I've got a lot to share with you today. Let's start first with this Sunday announcement because it's all over the mainstream media and I kind of want to give my opinion on that. But here is Donald Trump's Truth Social page, and he says this on Sunday: "Rebuild and open Alcatraz. For far too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders, the dregs of society, who will never contribute to anything other than misery and suffering. When we were a more serious nation in times past, we did not hesitate to lock up the most dangerous criminals and keep them far away from anyone they could harm. That's the way it's supposed to be. No longer will we tolerate these serial offenders who spread filth, bloodshed, and mayhem on our streets. That is why today I am directing the Bureau of Prisons, together with the Department of Justice, the FBI, and Homeland Security, to reopen a substantially enlarged and rebuild Alcatraz to house Americans' most ruthless and violent offenders. We will no longer be held hostage to criminals, thugs, and judges that are afraid to do their job, and allow us to remove criminals who came into our country illegally. The reopening of Alcatraz will serve as a symbol of law and order and justice. We will make America great again." Now, I've got a lot to share regarding my assessment on that and what I think he really the real point of him doing this is. But before I do, just a quick break from my sponsor. Well, is your email leaky, CV? Do you have data breaches, endless spam, or even targeted ads headed your way? Well, you see, big tech, they see everything. In fact, they sell your data, they track your clicks, and even invade your privacy. But the good news is it does not have to be that way. In fact, that's why I am introducing Proton Mail. It is a secure, private email, and it was built by scientists over at CERN. In fact, it has end-to-end encryption keys that keep your messages safe from prying eyes. Plus, with features like two-factor authentication, anonymous email aliases, and even integrated Proton Calendar and Drive, you're in complete control. Goodbye spam and clutter. You see, Proton Mail's powerful filters will keep your inbox organized so you can then focus on what matters most. And best of all, switching from Gmail can be done in just a few clicks. Proton Mail is based in Switzerland, which has very strict privacy laws, and Proton Mail puts your security first. So join millions of other people right now who are taking back their online privacy. All you have to do is go to proton.me/Lisa Haven. That's proton.me/Lisa Haven. And you can get up to 30% off at that link. So check it out today. If you want more information, click the More button if you're on your cell phone, or click the link in the description box below. So what exactly is going on here with Donald Trump and Alcatraz? Well, I think there's a little bit more to the story regarding that, and I'm going to share that with you in just a moment. But before I do, I want to show you this clip of a reporter asking him specifically about Alcatraz and Donald Trump's response. Take a listen to this.
Where did you get the idea for reopening Alcatraz?
Just an idea I've had, and I guess because the judges, so many of these radicalized judges, they want to have trials for every single, think of it, every single person that's in our country illegally, they came in illegally, that would mean millions of trials, and it's just so ridiculous what's happening. And it's long been a symbol, Alcatraz, of whatever it is. I mean, you know, it's a sad symbol, but it's a symbol of law and order. And, you know, it's got quite a history, frankly. So I think we're going to do that, and we're looking at it right now.
So Donald Trump said two important things in that video. He said, one, basically this is going to be a symbol of law and order. And what I think he means by that is that Alcatraz had a very, negativity to it. Not negativity, but it struck fear in the hearts of criminals. And I think that's what Donald Trump wants to do. Again, he wants to use Alcatraz, aka the Rock, if you will, to strike fear into the hearts of criminals. Now, why does he need to that? Well, he answers that in the other part of his video where he says these judges are making it impossible for our administration, or any president now for that matter, to deport criminal illegal aliens. So what he's in a sense saying here is, hey, we're going to have somewhere to put these criminals, these MS-13 gang members, these Tren de Aragua gang members. If we can't send them back to their country, we have to have somewhere to house the worst of the worst criminals, because the judges have ruled in their judicial coup style form that Donald Trump can't deport them unless they go to court. And it is impossible to send millions upon millions of people to court. This is what he is faced with here. And I think that's why he kind of even brought this up. In fact, kind of expanding on that before I get into some of the downfall or cries from these leftists, right? He issued a grave warning on top of all that, right? And here it is. President Trump issues a grave warning as radical judges shamelessly, sabotage his immigration agenda, and the Supreme Court sits on his hands. And this is on the Gateway Pundit. And here's what he said specifically. Can it be so that judges aren't allowing the USA to deport criminals, including murderers, out of this country and back to where they came from? Trump wrote, if this is our country as we know it is finished. Americans will have to get used to a very different crime-filled life, he added. This is not what our founders had in mind. Now, in light of him opening Alcatraz, that makes a whole lot of sense, because he knows that his hands are tied, and we really got to fix this, because this is insane what is going on. But either way, his hands are tied. So he's warning you and I, the American people, saying, hey, if I can't deport these and we really don't have any place, then you need to expect that crime is going to explode. Not of his fault, because the Supreme Court's saying they have to go to court in order to so much as be deported. So therefore, our country, and this is his warning from his own mouth, is about to radically change for the worse. And I happen to believe him on this, because it makes sense. If we can't deport criminals and then they're stuck here, the only end result to that is the fact that crime is going to explode. And these Tren de Aragua and MS-13 gang members and other gang members that'll probably come in from across the world are going to be like, now I can go into the USA and they can't deport me. It's more of like an open thing, unless they take me to court, which is going to be a very, very long time. I might take the chance and move to the United States of America. They have opened the door to millions of criminals all across the U.S. by making what the Supreme Court ruled on, saying, you can't deport them, or you can deport them, but they have to go through the court system. So I think we really need to hearken these words. And I don't know about you, but I'm going to amp up some of the security at my own house as things like this progress, because if this is really what we see happening, Donald Trump is right on. Meanwhile, he has to have something to calm the waters, if you will, or something to make these gang members not want to come into our country. And that something in this case is Alcatraz. And what does the left do? Well, they are having a straight up conniption fit. And maybe he's not so serious, but maybe he is. But maybe we'll see and find out. Nancy Pelosi says Alcatraz closed as a federal penitentiary more than 60 years ago. It's now a very popular national park and many tourist attractions. The president's proposal is not a serious one. And maybe it's not serious, but I guess he is getting desperate right now in order to keep crime out of the country, and his hands are tied. Meanwhile, Democrats are just bashing him. Here we have Morgan Freeman. Of course, I'm angry today. Any maggots want to spar? Pick your subject. And of course, on the very top, reopening Alcatraz. I'm not going to read his whole thing because it's just useless. Then we have Mario here. Trump officially entered psychotic emperor phase. He's not coming back. The Pope image was it. That was the line. He crossed it and kept walking. This isn't trolling anymore. This is clinical delusions. The tariffs on movies, reopening Alcatraz. These aren't policies. This is a man deep in the psychotic loop, thinking revenge is leadership and trolling is governance. So I could share probably about 100 more of these, but I don't want to do that. It's just insane. But I understand what Donald Trump is trying to do here. He's trying to strike fear in the hearts of people who are committing some very atrocious crimes. And if Alcatraz gives him that, it gives him that. Right now, there is the downside. Obviously, it costs a lot to upkeep and all of that. But when your hands are tied and you can't deport the criminals, what else are we going to do? Waiting on some options for that one. Meanwhile, kind of separately, Donald Trump was asked by Meet the Press, who I can't stand, who his potential successors would be. Take a listen to what he says.
I know that you are only 100 days in, but as we sit here today, who do you see as your successor, Mr. President?
Well, it's far too early to say that, but I do have a vice president, and typically it would be, and JD's doing a fantastic job.
He would be at the top of the list?
It could very well be. I don't want to get involved in that. I think he's a fantastic, brilliant guy. Marco is great. There's a lot of them that are great. I also see tremendous unity. But certainly you would say that somebody's the VP. If that person is outstanding, I guess that person would have an advantage. But I think the other people would all stay in unbelievably high positions. But, it could be that he'd be challenged by somebody. We have a lot of good people in this party.
Interesting, right? I'm all good with JD Vance. I would support that wholeheartedly. Marco Rubio, on the other hand, that's a little bit more controversial to me. He's done some things that I don't like. However, in this administration, he has finally done some things that I like, but we shall see. Anyhow, wanted to share that with you regarding at least who's on Donald Trump's mind at this point regarding succession as well, and just the real deal of what Alcatraz is all about. Anyhow, I love you all. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.